Hi, and welcome to FDIC Online. My name is Mike Dugan, and I will be here talking to you today about leadership in the firehouse, about something we call This House Rocks. It's about firehouse excellence, how one firehouse is a great place to work, because we all know there's nothing like the firehouse. It can be the most incredible place, the most incredible experience of your life working in a great firehouse, or it can be a miserable, exiled into purgatory hell that we are in if we are working in a firehouse that is not working, functioning properly. Okay? It can be a place where learning is a fundamental part of what we do. Skills are honed, techniques can be refined, or it can be a stagnant cesspool where competence erodes, where people are just miserable and they're just existing in that place. Okay? What causes one place to be a cohesive unit, to be a great place to work and brimming with camaraderie, and just around the road there is dissension, drudgery, and pure misery in that firehouse? There are 5 key areas that we're going to talk about today that allow a firehouse to work very, very well together. Okay? These areas can turn any firehouse into the type of place that enables our firefighters to work well together and to fulfill their dreams, their calling, and to work well together. The first thing is a vision. We have to have a compelling vision of our firehouse. That vision starts with where we came from. We stand on the shoulders of the brothers and sisters who came before us, the people who came together in our community, in our town, and got our firehouse started, the people who have done great things in our firehouse to bring us to where we are today. We stand on the shoulders of the great people who went before us. We also stand on the shoulders of those who have done things that we cannot be proud of. There are things in the fire service, in the firehouses, that we have done that aren't the greatest things we've done. We have to acknowledge those, we have to accept them, and we have to decide what we're doing to move on past that. Those are the things. So the vision starts with looking back, where we come from. Then it goes to a compelling vision of where we are now. It doesn't matter where you are now. You have to look at it. You have to be honest, because honesty is a key part of everything we do. You have to look at yourself, look at your company, and look at your firehouse and decide if where you are now is the place that you want to be, if it's working in the right direction, or if you're someplace that's miserable, that you're not getting along, that you're having a problem, you have to acknowledge that, because in that situation there's only one place to go, and that's up. And then we have to have a vision of where we want to go. We have to be forward looking and looking towards what we want this firehouse, this fire company, and this department to be. Where do we want to go? We have to look at where we want to be. And remember, when we do these things, we have to be honest. Because when you look at the man or the woman in the mirror, you have to be honest with that person. So we're going to start with a vision of where we are now, after we've looked behind us. And we're going to build on the great work of those who came before us. And we're going to continue to work towards what we're going to do. We have to address the reality of where the house is, and then we have to figure out what do we want to do with that. So we're going to have to look at the vision for our firehouse, for our company. We're going to have to look at where we want to take this place. Okay? We're going to talk a little bit about individual responsibility and pride in your house. Okay? It's your firehouse. The condition of your firehouse, your apparatus, your tools, your equipment, it has nothing to do with the age of the firehouse. It has nothing to do with the number of runs you go on, how busy your company it is. It has to do with the pride of the men and women who work in that company and what you want to convey to the people outside in the public, the payers of our bills, the people who we are going to help on the worst day of their life. You have to look at what you are doing in that firehouse, whether you are just giving the idea of, oh, we'll get by with all this stuff, or you are saying we are going to be better. We're going to clean this stuff up. We're going to make our tools look like they are the best out there. Okay? Each member needs a part of the firehouse. They need something that belongs to them. It's primarily their job. We need people working together to provide ownership of the company while also guarding against certain areas. We don't want the cliques. We don't want all of that. But we want people to have a part of this. We want them to have a part of what's going on. And that also goes to decision-making in a firehouse. Decision-making in a firehouse. The great thing is, as a leader, as a company officer, you don't have to make a lot of decisions in a firehouse. A lot of the decisions are made by the team, and that's a good thing. We want the team to have input into the decisions. Okay? As an officer, if you give an order on the fire ground, it's got to be followed. There is no, we're going to have a discussion over this. But in the firehouse decisions, you want everyone to have a little piece of the decision making. What are we going to do? What are we doing for drill? What are we doing for training? What are we doing in the firehouse? What are we doing around to clean up the apparatus? What tools do we need? What are we doing? Okay? What that allows the company, the officers and the men and women working in that company, is it allows us a couple of things. It allows us perspectives. Everyone has a different, unique perspective from where they came from, their backgrounds. It allows us buy-in. As an officer, if you have people and you give them a job, a function, you give them something to do, it allows them to have a piece of that pie. Okay? It gives us checks and balances. We've all worked for somebody who's been an autocratic leader who wants to rule with an iron fist. It's not a fun place to be. You want to allow the people to have communications about what's going on in the firehouse. That gives us the buy-in in that. Okay? We talk about competition. We are not in competition with each other. Whether it's companies in the same department, whether it's neighboring departments, whether it's firehouses, we are not in competition. I've had young men and women to come up to me and say, well, we're kind of like sports teams. Well, football season is starting very soon. I'm a big Jets fan, but I know every time the Jets play, whoever they play, somebody wins and somebody loses. If we are in competition with other firehouses, fire companies, or fire departments, somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. We don't want that. We want the people showing up, knowing what their job is, knowing what their responsibility is, and being aware of what they're doing. We don't want to compete with each other. We don't want that. Take someone you love, your wife, your husband, your mom, your dad, your children, someone who you love. If there's no one you love, I love you. But take someone that you love and put them on the second floor of a burning home. Do you want people showing up in competition with each other, or do you want units showing up cohesively, following their job assignments, doing what they're supposed to do to make sure that your mom, your dad, your children, the people you love are rescued? We are not in competition with each other. We are working to make that other team, that other firehouse, that other department better because we are around them. Because we lift them up by doing our jobs right and correctly. We make things better for them. We also want to talk about us as a team. We are a family. When you walk through that front door, you are part of the family of this firehouse. We work together. We make sure that we understand that you are a part of this team. If you are unique, that's okay, but you still have to be a member of the team. You have to work to get yourself in there to be part of that team, okay? Members of our team, we want them centered on the team, not themselves. We don't want them worrying about me, we don't want that. We want them worrying about the team, the brothers and sisters who work with them, rising that team up, bringing that team up because they are there. We've all heard the story, you are only as good as your weakest link. Well, we want to take our weakest link and we want to bring them up. We want to train them and we want to make them a part of our group so we can do that together. When we talk about this, we also talk about teamwork, okay? Each member of the firehouse is expected to contribute. They've got to contribute to support and expand the visions that we have casted. And we're taking these items and we're taking the teamwork, the individual responsibility and the house pride, and now we're putting some teamwork in, and we're weaving these things together. We're making them all part of it. The moment you sign on in this department, whether you volunteer or professional, it doesn't matter if you're paid or not. Professional is the way you will go about doing your job. Okay, that's what professional is. So it doesn't matter whether you're a volunteer or a paid firefighter. The moment you sign on, you volunteer, you walk in the door of that firehouse, you are a member of that team. Okay? And that day, that team becomes your family. And you are going to treat them like your family with dignity and respect. Treat them the way you would want someone to treat your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. Okay? That's what we're going to do. The other thing that is probably one of the biggest problems we have is we don't turn our heads from wrong or destructive behavior. The worst thing that you can do in the firehouse is know someone is doing something wrong and no one addresses it from the top on down. If someone is doing something wrong, they're freelancing, they're not doing the right thing, their behavior is destructive to the department and the company, and no one does it because that person is Mike Dugan, because that person is someone else. We're going to let them do what they want because of who they are or where they work. That is wrong. The standards have to be above board and they have to be enforced consistently across all lines. Everyone has to be treated equally. If not, it is the worst thing we can do for morale in the firehouse, the company, the department, or the agency, is to have two different standards of the way we treat our people. Talent in the fire service is going to find an outlet, and that outlet is going to be either for the good or the bad. Okay, we all know there are certain things that have happened in the fire service, hazing incidents. There have been reports of them all over, people coming into firehouses to do different things. That is not what we do. We got to have fun, but fun should not hurt. Okay, we can go in there because we are a semi-military organization in the fire service. We can have people follow orders. Okay, somebody can get wet. Maybe there's a bucket of water or something like that. Okay, that's okay. But fun should not hurt. Okay, we don't want someone to get hurt in the way we do our job. We want to make sure. The other thing about that is we have to understand, especially as officers and chief officers, that there are people out there who know more than you do. Okay? The problem is when we go in and we start doing trainings, I'm not a big rope guy. I don't tie knots. I tie lots. Okay? There are other guys out there who can tie knots that would make me. If you have that person on your company, on your shift, that person should be your rope guru. If you have a young lady who's good at extrication, she should be your extrication guru. Somebody who's good at EMS, they're your EMS person. Okay? You can't know everything. If you think you do, you're fooling yourself and everyone around you. Look at the people around you. Find out what their strengths are. Use their strength to strengthen the crew, to bring our people up, to bring our people together. Okay? The other thing is, each member of our crew is held accountable for their actions. If you do something wrong, you do something destructive, you do something in the firehouse or on the fire ground that is not correct, okay, it's going to be addressed. It's going to be addressed immediately. The other thing that we should do is we should have people in our circle who can talk to us. It's no captain to lieutenant or lieutenant to firefighter or captain to chief. It's people above you, people on the same plane as you, and people below you in your company, in your firehouse, who can walk in and talk to you. Hey, Mike, you know those things you do? You talk about being honest. You talk about being trustworthy. You talk about doing the right thing. I don't think what you're doing in this one is wrong. We all sometimes make mistakes. We have to admit them. But we all have to have people who we trust to come talk to us and tell us whether we're doing what's right, whether we're doing what's wrong. People who we check our ego at the door and we go in and we do this together and they talk to us. We all have blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots. And there are people around us who see what we don't see. We should allow them access to us. If you are that person locking yourself in an office and you're there all by yourself, it's going to get awful lonely. It's going to get awful lonely. You need the people in the firehouse to work with you. Okay? Training. is another part of how we're doing it. Being prepared to get the job done, whatever the job may be. Okay? Training should be the top priority in your firehouse. It should be what you strive for, what you do. Training should be your number one priority. You should have the people. In my firehouse, when I was a captain, ladder 123, guys used to come in and say, "Hey, Cap, what are we drilling on tonight?" They knew that we were drilling. And I used to say, "I don't know, what do you think we need to drill on?" "Let's do this. There was a problem with this," or "we need a little work on that," or "let's work on this." Okay? There might be something that is low frequency, high risk, search ropes. We don't do it that often. Maybe they need to refresh. Maybe we're going to drill on something else. But they're going to ask them. Ask them. And again, allow them to start telling you what they think they need work on. Okay? Training should be a part of the culture of your firehouse. It should be the firehouse where people expect to train, where they expect to drill, where they expect to be challenged to do their job. Okay? We have to get out of the firehouse. Go out into your local neighborhood. Look at the buildings being built. Look at the areas that are changing. Look at what's going on in your neighborhood. Every neighborhood in America changes all the time. Look at what's going on in these places and be part of it. We should be good at the basics. If you are not comfortable with the men and women that you work with, volunteer with, fight fires with, rescuing the people you love out of a building that is on fire, it's time to get back to the basics. We don't have enough fires anymore. We don't go to enough fires. So training is how we hone our skills, how we learn to do what we are doing. You have to be good at training. You have to look at what you are doing. 75% of your time should be done honing your basic skills, hose skills, driving skills, forcible entry skills. All of these skills should be a part of what you do. The other 25% of your time should be spent on advanced skills. 75% of the time is spent to keep us out of trouble with the basics. The other 25% is on advanced skills to get us out of trouble. Remember, it is always easier to keep us out of trouble than it is to get us out of trouble. Okay? Everyone contributes to the skill in the firehouse, to the training. Everyone has a piece of it. They get a part of the training. You don't leave someone out. You don't make someone the brunt of the training. You work together and make sure, especially a person who needs that training, who needs that little extra time on a tool, on a skill, you work with them and make sure they get it. Okay? We are going to seek training opportunities as a team, as a group. We're going to work together to look for opportunities to train. Whether you notice buildings going vacant in your area, you might want to contact the buildings department. Are they going vacant? Is there going to be a demolition permit issued? If so, maybe we're going to be able to get into those buildings before the buildings are knocked down to do some training. A lot of doors, maybe we got some great forcible entry training. Okay? Look for opportunities to train in your neighborhood. Look for construction sites. Look for buildings being built. Okay, you're not going to go in and damage places, but you're going to find out if you can get in there and use these places for the training. We have been blessed to work in one of the greatest professions in the world. Okay, we love our job. When we come to work, it's the greatest thing in the world. Okay, but when we come to work, we have to have that positive attitude that we are doing what is best. That company that we are in today is going to be the best company in our town, in our city, in our volunteer department, because we are there. We are making this better, not in spite of us, but because of us. We are being better because we are doing our job and working well. Okay? If you're not having fun, you're doing something wrong. We have a great job. We want to have fun. Fun is good. We should be laughing. I've had bad days in the fire service where we've lost people, 9/11, things like that. Yes, we've all had bad days. But if you are continually miserable in the firehouse, something is wrong. Reevaluate. What is making you miserable? What is wrong? Okay? And again, that goes back to that self-reflection. Look at yourself. okay? As a team, we celebrate accomplishments. Members of the team, someone made a rescue. Someone got someone out of a car accident. Someone used the tools right. We celebrate the accomplishments. We celebrate when we do the job correctly, when we do what we do. We look at each other, we respect each other, and we work together, okay? It includes accomplishments of our house, other firehouses, and everything else. We look at what we do as a company, department, and unit, and we look at what we do right. And also, if we do something wrong, we look at what we do wrong, okay? Each member of the team checks themselves on how they do all the time, okay? You have to look at yourself. The only change you can start is with the man or woman in the mirror. The person that you are, you can change your attitude. Your attitude might bring change to other men and women on your department or shift by you having a positive attitude. It is your firehouse. Go out there and make it happen. Do what is right for your company, your department. Have fun and be safe. Thank you.